Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning in to UCCS Sports. I'm MJ Arjamandi alongside Doug Klein, broadcasting live from Mountain Lion Stadium on the University of Colorado Springs campus, right here in Olympic City, USA, as the UCCS men's soccer team is set to host Fort Lewis College. Doug, we just came from a fantastic outing from the UCCS women's soccer team. They dominated the action, and the men now are looking to do the exact same thing.
Absolutely. For the men, they really need to start establishing some momentum in the RMAC. They were expected to be in the mix for certainly a playoff spot in the RMAC. But what has been happening in the early going with only one conference win, these Mountain Lions are at risk of staying out of the playoff picture, and they would go a long way toward completing the sweep here on home turf after the women's dominating 5-0 win over the Skyhawks.
As we review some of the highlights from our previous contest, the Mountain Lions earlier, the UCCS women's soccer team won 5-0 over these same Skyhawks of Fort Lewis College. And you see some of the action from our first contest of the night, and the UCCS men's team, as you mentioned, looking to bounce back from what has been a tough start here in this season. UCCS coming into tonight's contest with an overall record of 2-6-1, a conference record of 1-5, whereas the Skyhawks are nearing the top of the standings in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference with an overall record of 6-1-3 and a Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference record of 4-1-1. Doug, here in the early start, what do you think the Mountain Lions need to do to be able to play their game and get on the scoreboard quickly to take an early advantage?
Great question. And honestly, they have the roster to do it. And in talking to Coach Brian Miller of the Mountain Lions, a big issue for this side is confidence. They had a great opening game on the home portion of their schedule in the second week of the season when they beat the then number 25 ranked St. Mary's squad 1-0. Then they came back 2 days later and they had a 3-1 lead with 6 minutes remaining in the match. They were playing a man short because of a red card, but then they were unable to close it out. St. Edward's climbed back in to gain the draw, and from that point on, this team has lacked confidence. Now, last Friday, they got their first RMAC win when they came from behind on CSU Pueblo, down in Pueblo, and with a couple of late goals in the 78th and 79th minutes, they defeated those Thunderwolves 3-2. And at that point, I was thinking, okay, this is what these guys needed to get the jump start. They're going to be back in the mix. But then last Sunday, they went to Alamosa, and they dropped a 3-2 decision to that Adams State side, and really it'll be interesting to see what we have here. But I will say this, for Coach Brian Miller's side, this squad never gives up. They play hard all 90 minutes every game, and they have the horses to make some noise. So we'll see how this game develops.
Never doubt the heart of a Mountain Lion, but they're going to need to show that here tonight if they want to come away with a victory against one of the top teams in the RMAC. So UCCS looking to bounce back and continue from their play from last weekend. That was a big win against CSU Pueblo, and I would say a much-needed victory at that. Here's the starting lineups for both squads here in our contest tonight. On goal for the Skyhawks is number 1, Peter Byrne. Also starting things off for the Skyhawks, number 2, Cannon Tibu. Number 4, Milan Manchev. Number 5, Ruben Neubauer. Number 7, Ty Lang. Number 8, Casey Owensby. Number 9, Brantley Bice. Number 10, Hakeem Rabiu. Number 21, Ryan Lee. Number 23, Matt Baldridge, and number 25, Marshall Metzger. Starting things off for your Mountain Lions here on goal, number 0, Jake Zink. Number 3, Adam Baldwin. Number 6, Sam Gomez. Number 8, Parker McClure. Number 10, Alex Von Holly. Number 11, Colby Ranieri. Number 13, Liam McGuire. Number 14, Irvin Scarlett. Number 19, Heiko Hovack. Number 21, Jack Mills. And number 23, Aaron Hafner.
And for the Mountain Lions, Jake Zink in goal, getting his first start of the season. Up until this point, it has been Scott Jensen who has played every minute, and the senior sitting down this match, letting Zink get into the mix. So we'll see sometimes in the world of sports when you have a goalkeeper change, that inspires the team. So we'll see how that happens.
Well, it's certainly going to be some different leadership and communication there from Zink, and hopefully that's just what the Mountain Lions need to increase their wins in that column. As we mentioned earlier, Mountain Lions not with the exact start as they would hope to this season.
And the Mountain Lions with only 3 points in the conference table. Now the good news is it's still early. They're only about 3 or 4 points out of a playoff position. So still plenty of time to climb into the top 8 and make the RMAC playoffs. But it really has to start here. They were looking for the sweep last weekend on the road and didn't get it. And right out of the gates, we have an injury at midfield.
Yeah, an early injury here, and certainly don't want to see that to start off the game. But up and back to his feet, hopefully easily able to shake that one off and get back into the game.
And thank goodness we have monitors for this match. Those gold numbering on the white jerseys for Fort Lewis, really tough to see from the press position.
Yeah, I don't think that they designed those jerseys with the sports information department or the broadcasting crew in mind, because those are awfully difficult to read from far distance. Looks like that's going to be Mountain Lion ball. They're going to throw that one in on the near side.
And interesting scheduling twist this season. This is actually Fort Lewis's third game on this pitch. The Mountain Lions have had plenty of opportunity to take a look at them, because in that second weekend of the season, it was actually UCCS that was hosting an early season Pikes Peak area classic. Is something often done in this sport early in the season to keep travel costs down, as St. Mary's and St. Edwards came into town, and each of them played the RMAC sides. And obviously Fort Lewis and UCCS did not play each other that weekend, as they were saving it for the conference match tonight. But both squads have had a chance to see each other quite a bit this season already.
Might have given the Mountain Lions an opportunity to crack the code that is Fort Lewis to be able to come away with a victory here tonight at home. There's Baldwin with possession, kicking it back over to Mills. And the Mountain Lions looking to set some action up here and taking their time here to develop an attack, utilizing that entire field, spreading the ball around, looking for an opening. Nice pass. That's a deep one. That was Ranieri with the header. And now that's Baldwin. Baldwin over to Von Holly. And that's a quick score for UCCS.
And I think technically they're going to call that an own goal, but Von Holly created it. He had the pass to the far post. He had a runner coming on, and all Fort Lewis could do was try the slide tackle to knock it away, and in fact they wound up deflecting it in. So regardless of how they score it, hard work by the Mountain Lions in the attacking zone created that goal.
Yeah, what an effort by UCCS on the attack. As you mentioned, an own goal, but Alex Von Holly's got to be feeling really good about how he set up that play and created that result. So the Mountain Lions on the board early on here in the first half. kind of similar to what we saw earlier on with the UCCS women's soccer team. They scored in just the first couple of minutes of action. Mountain Lions scoring here in the 6th minute of play. Great job by the Mountain Lions on that attack.
And at least for the moment, I'm not sure if folks could hear the public address. At least for the moment, they've actually given credit for that goal to Von Holly. I'm sure that'll be reviewed to see if it should be an own goal. The guideline in the NCAA on an own goal is if it's deflected and the momentum of the original shot carries it in, then it goes to the attacker. If it is redirected in by the defense, then it would be called an own goal. That one was close, but again, regardless, Von Holly created it, whether he gets credit for that goal or not.
Well, I don't think Brian Miller cares what it says in the stats. He's just happy to be up 1-0 here in the early going of the first half. And that's really the aggression that Miller's looking to see from his Mountain Lion squad. There's another shot there. Also by Von Holly. That one just a little bit high, but he is feeling it here in the first start of the first half. Byrne now putting it back in play. Mountain Lions with a quick 1-0 lead. And that's the exact start to this game that they were looking for, trying to increase their wins and get back into contention. Still plenty of time left in the season to do so, but if they don't start tallying some victories, it's going to be awfully difficult to climb out of that as each week goes by.
And as the Mountain Lions found last season, they came on strong in the regular season and made a lot of noise in the RMAC playoffs. So, as you said, plenty of time to get back into this, and they have a spring in their step coming out of the locker room to start this match.
As cliche as it is, one game at a time. And if they can come away with a victory here today and another one against Colorado Mesa on Sunday, then all of a sudden they're right back in the mix of things. And that's certainly what the goal is for this weekend for UCCS.
And that would mean a lot for the Mountain Lions because this is a tough weekend on the men's side. You have Colorado Mesa. They're the top-ranked team out of the RMAC in the South Central region. They come in at number 5. And tonight's opponent, Fort Lewis, they are sitting in the number 7 slot in the South Central region.
So certainly a big game for the Skyhawks as they're looking to make a push for the playoffs as well. But UCCS doesn't want to be forgotten about and certainly wants to enter the fray as well. But they got to take care of business here at home here tonight to make that a possibility.
And already a yellow card for that reckless hit over on the far side. So an early card going to Fort Lewis. And incidentally, for Fort Lewis tonight, their top scorer is actually out of the game. Jean-Baptiste, he had a red card last weekend, so by rule, he has to sit out the match.
That couldn't have come at a better time for UCCS, and that could prove to be a difference maker here tonight. Certainly the Mountain Lions would hope that that's the case, and that one is blasted out of play by Metzger. Mountain Lions putting it back in, but unable to get a hold on that one is Jack Mills. Here comes a throw in by Lang. Lang trying to go deep with that one. The falling header for the pass, but UCCS now with possession. Nice move there by McGuire, trying to go inside as he saw Von Holly getting deep, just couldn't quite make that connection. But you can see Alex Von Holly is playing very aggressive through the first 10 minutes of our contest.
And for those that are relatively new to the sport and wonder what happened there, McGuire was knocked down, clearly a foul, but the official appropriately let the play continue. When the quality of possession did not materialize, then he blew the whistle after the fact, so that's where Jack Mills is coming up on the direct kick for the Mountain Lions from about 30 yards out. 40, actually. Goes well wide.
That one was a little far out for any contact really to be made or any potential shot there for UCCS. But again, you love the aggressive start for the Mountain Lions, exactly what they were looking for here this evening. Deep shot, but taken away by UCCS. Now looking to set things up deep in their own territory. Here's Jack Mills sending it back over to Zink. There's Scarlett with a deep pass. Intercepted.
And they were trying to spring Baldwin free. Baldwin, with a lot of speed, was trying to split the defenders. That long direct kick just a little bit short.
You could see the vision that he had on that one, just didn't quite have the distance to get it to him. That's a good save and a good move by Mills for the Mountain Lions to remain in possession. There's Scarlett with another deep pass, and you can see what the plan is for UCCS to launch them deep and try to find that connection and create some space. Here's Baldwin looking to put a move on, shot on goal, and that's an easy save, though, by Byrne.
And actually very well done by Byrne, because that rocket off of Baldwin, it actually deflected and changed direction on the way in. Much like in ice hockey, if you get that deflection and the change of direction of the ball, it can fool the keeper, but Byrne able to stay with it.
As they say, location, 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 and Byrne was in the proper location to make an easy save on that one, but a good attempt by Baldwin. So far, Mountain Lions have been in control of this first half. That one sails into the other goal outside of play on the sideline. Mountain Lions throwing that one in. Nice pass, but just couldn't quite make that connection. I think he anticipated Baldwin making a move a little bit quicker than Baldwin was able to make that move. Good idea, just couldn't quite connect on that one. There's a throw in for the Skyhawks in the near corner. And you could see the solid defense here by UCCS, not allowing for much of any separation. And that one looks like it's going to head out of bounds off Jack Mills. It's going to be another throw-in for the Skyhawks. Lang now looking to go deep. Solid connection, but Mills is there to kick that one away. A lot of contact on that one, but Gomez getting up quickly, recovers nicely, getting back into the action.
One thing about the Mountain Lions, good team speed and not afraid of contact, as you could see with Sam Gomez following through after that touch. Baldwin with a nice touch, but he was leaning offside.
Good idea, just got a little too ahead of the action there. Skyhawks unable to control that time, and giving that one away to UCCS. Mountain Lions will certainly take that gift.
And also that's an advantage of the UCCS speed. Fort Lewis saw the pressure coming on, and they looked up and then had a mishit on the ball. So it's UCCS possession deep in the attacking third, and but immediately broken up.
That's exactly what can happen when you're playing such an aggressive game so far. Skyhawks may have heard some footsteps on that one. And as a result, Mountain Lions in a good spot here to create an attack and try to drive that one inside, looking to put another goal on the scoreboard. Looks like a foul on the far side, and UCCS setting things up here. It's Alex Von Holly who, whether he got the goal or didn't get the goal, he's responsible for the goal and looking to get one more on the scoreboard. What a shot inside, but Byrne is there to easily nab that one. That one sails out of bounds. Back in play for the Skyhawks. Great job clearing that one from UCCS and not allowing any further penetration. UCCS so far is just finding their way to the ball, doing a great job on the defensive end of things and certainly on the offensive end of things as well, being up 1-0. Looks like that's a foul called there on the Skyhawks.
And you can see what's going on. UCCS is making the game come to them. They are taking advantage of everything. They're first to every 50-50 ball. And right now, Fort Lewis trying to figure out how to solve the UCCS problem.
Brian Miller definitely did a good job of getting his guys to come out and start off with great energy here tonight. Certainly playing like they want the victory against the tough Fort Lewis team. Shot that time by Baldwin. Is going to be too far to the left. That one wasn't close, but you love the attacking nature of Baldwin, the quick turn and shot. Just a little bit off point with that attempt.
We have the UCCS women walking in front of our position with food. I think that was food. I'm sure for the broadcast team.
Well, Doug, I think that was a no. I didn't get anything. That's all right. That's all right. Hats off to the UCCS women's soccer team. Still undefeated after tonight's contest, 11-0, ranked number 1 in the nation. And I'm sure these players on the men's soccer team are wanting to get back into that win column as well here tonight. But great start for UCCS. Fort Lewis hasn't had a whole lot of action on the other side of the field so far, and that's exactly what Brian Miller was hoping for through the first 20 minutes of play, nearing upon the first 20 minutes of action.
I know it's still early in the match, but this one so far is playing much like the St. Mary's match did in the second game of the season, when UCCS won that one 1-0 against the nationally ranked team at that time.
Fight for possession on the far side. Fort Lewis comes away with it. And going to be a throw-in now for the Skyhawks. Right around midfield. Great idea there by Hovac. Just couldn't quite make contact like he wanted to. His timing was there. The kick was just a little bit off.
And I'll tell you, MJ, one of the things I think I'm seeing, and, you know, the attitude of a team in the locker room is so important as to how that translates out onto the field. We talked about the confidence issue, and that's what Coach Miller has been working on all year. That 3-2 loss to Adams State could have been devastating. What I think I'm seeing is after the come-from-behind win against CSU Pueblo, I think the loss against Adams State angered them as opposed to shaking their confidence. And because we're seeing an inspired Mountain Lions side thus far tonight.
Yeah, this is about as strong of a start to a matchup as we've seen this season from UCCS in terms of their defensive play and their aggressive nature on offense, really setting the tone here in the first 20 minutes of action.
But let's not take anything away from Fort Lewis. They are an explosive side. They have the ability to score goals quickly, and This sport, the longer I'm around it, it is in large part a game of attrition. So when fatigue starts setting in late in the second half, that's when a lot of the hard work and training begins to pay off.
When I'm sure there's a few Skyhawks looking to step up in replace of Jean-Baptiste, who's not in action, as you mentioned earlier, due to that red card in the previous contest. So who's the go-to? Who's going to step up for the Skyhawks? Mountain Lions are hoping it's nobody, but certainly the Skyhawks are going to look to bounce back soon. There's an offside call there on Von Holly, who slightly disagrees with the call.
However, on Referee Appreciation Weekend, that one was directly in line with our position. I agree with the official on that side.
Yep. I don't think the officials hear this nearly enough, but that was a good call. Mountain Lions on that far side looking to regain control. That one sent out of bounds, though. Throw in for Fort Lewis. A little give and go, back out of bounds. Great job for UCCS as they get possession on that exchange. Hovack looking to put it back in play. Right in front of the home bench. That one sent deep and straight into the hands of Zink. An easy play for him. And that's a deep pass. And there's Von Holly again, who gets the connection, sends it over to Baldwin. Baldwin looking to put on a move. Great pass inside and the header. Just a little too far outside by Ranieri. That was a beautiful design. And I bet Ranieri wishes he had another shot at that one. Great job, though, by UCCS on that attack.
Great playmaking, good use of the speed, and again, in the early going, we're seeing the speed of UCCS really creating some trouble for the Fort Lewis back line.
I think the question here, Doug, is how long can UCCS sustain this kind of energy? If they can put this on all evening long, they might come away with the upset, as certainly they've been in firm control through the first part of our contest here tonight. Just about midway through the first half. And that looks like it's going to be Mountain Lion ball.
And that was Captain Aaron Hafner, who did a great job maintaining defensive positioning, and he was just run over and earned the call. So UCCS with the direct kick in their defensive third.
Ryan Lee with the protest over there, but the official wasn't hearing much of it, and it is going to be UCCS possession. Beautiful night here from Colorado Springs. So glad you can join us right here for more UCCS sports. And here comes Baldwin. Tried to throw the left leg up to gain control, but that was just a little far out of his reach. Otherwise, that could have been disastrous for the Skyhawks. Mountain Lions doing a good job to stay in control though there as McClure intercepted that pass. Sends it back over to Scarlett. Scarlett now going to the far side. A little bit of room there to work with. Nice turnaround. A little give and go, and that one's out of play, but it'll remain Mountain Lion possession.
And on that last scoring opportunity for the Mountain Lions, Baldwin clearly right place, right time, just a little bit of bad luck. The bounce was much too high, and he couldn't bring the ball down. But again, front foot of the early part of the match goes to the Mountain Lions.
Mills sending this one inside. That one just a little bit too deep for Ranieri to be able to make contact with it. Good attempt by Ranieri trying to get ahead on that one, but just a little too far out of reach. Skyhawks, though, obviously not panicking and still playing their game. Mountain Lions, though, just doing a great job of putting the pressure on continuously through the first 25 minutes of the first half. On the far side, trying to send that one in, but great job by UCCS, and that's McGuire now trying to send that one back out. Baldwin trying to get possession, but taken away. Great job by Lang to win that battle. And you see the Skyhawks looking to set up an attack down low.
And once again, UCCS defensive positioning generates the call, and they regain possession.
Well, that's happened quite a few times already in this first half where the Skyhawks were getting down low, but because of the aggressive play of UCCS, they drew the foul and got possession back. So great job on the defensive end so far by UCCS. Good job to get a touch on that one before it can bounce. Mountain Lions playing a little volleyball, trying to get possession, getting it down, back onto the ground now. And it seems like that switch on goal has maybe provided a bit of a spark for UCCS here tonight. Can't say enough about Scott Jensen. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, but sometimes you just need that switch to provide further motivation for the guys. And seemingly here tonight, it's working. Looks like we got a substitution for the Skyhawks. It's going to be number 22, Max Fuentes. Skyhawks looking to send in some fresh legs and get some more energy in. That's a bad pass there. Easily intercepted by Von Holly. Looked like Von Holly might have had a breakaway opportunity.
That was a good play all the way around both sides. Von Holly made the turn, was going toward the near post. The defender came back, nice slide tackle, and happily conceded the corner kick.
Von Holly going back for said corner kick as UCCS looking to set things up off this play, hoping to put another goal on the scoreboard. Von Holly stepping back, getting ready to put it back in play. Here it comes, and right into the hands of Byrne.
Good goalkeeping by Byrne. Good position. Roster says he comes in at 6 foot. That might be generous. That was a nice play.
So far in this first half, it really looks like the passing has not really been on point for the Skyhawks, and every time they get in possession and try to make something happen, they give it right back to UCCS. And again, Mountain Lions intercepting that one. Sending that one back. And great pass there to Baldwin. Good job by Baldwin. Great control and presence on the field to know exactly where he was at. That was a great idea too, but I think Von Holly was a little bit closer up than Baldwin thought he was for that pass. If Baldwin could have put that one right in front of Von Holly, he might have had a fantastic shot opportunity, but just a little bit too far behind Von Holly to make anything happen there.
Well-designed play, designed to draw the defense in and leave a big gap, and Baldwin knew the gap was there, and you're right, it was maybe just a half step off of Von Holly being able to one-touch that toward net. But again, the first half hour of this match is in the books, and UCCS clearly in control of the first 30 minutes.
Well, I think if you would have told Brian Miller that through the first half an hour of the first half, they were up 1-0, he would gladly take that, especially knowing how aggressive his Mountain Lions are continuing to play to this point. That was a bit of a risky play there by Byrne to come so far out. He was fortunate there that everything went according to his plan. Otherwise, the net was wide open.
And one thing that a lot of coaches do, especially when you have a squad that's in the type of situation that UCCS is, where they need results, they need points in the table, is you start breaking the games down into manageable parts. Let's win the first half hour. That's now in the books. Let's win the second half hour and then win that final half hour. And if you start breaking it into its component parts, then it becomes manageable. I'm not exactly sure how Coach Miller is doing this, but I'm sure he's doing some variation of what I just described.
I wonder if he denied them dinner here tonight as well, because seemingly they're playing as hungry as I've seen them play all season long.
Maybe that's what the women's squad was bringing in. Maybe that's,
that's
the
exactly,
men's side dinner, and if they play well, then they can participate.
And they're over there eating their lovely, delicious dinner, and the Mountain Lions are staying hungry trying to get this win here tonight. Whatever Brian Miller did or said pre-game is working so far, though, about as crisp of a first half as UCCS has played here in a while. A lot of contact there.
And once again, another advantage of the defensive positioning. By shielding the ball properly, the Fort Lewis player coming through ran through the body and the foul called.
Great job there by McGuire to take that contact, and now the Mountain Lions have possession as a result.
It'll be interesting to see the halftime stats in terms of the fouls. It seems to be clearly Fort Lewis maybe doubling up UCCS in terms of the fouls, and I would say most of those fouls UCCS has earned.
Yeah, they're more than willing to initiate and take the contact, and we can see that here tonight so far. Lang here on the near side.
It'll also be interesting to see at halftime how Coach Uberholzer of Fort Lewis makes an adjustment on his squad. As teams evaluate film, this clearly doesn't look like the UCCS team. They've played up to this point a little slower, a little more deliberate, and if that's what Fort Lewis prepared for, that's not what they're seeing, and so they'll have every opportunity to make halftime adjustments.
What a pass deep. Great job to track that one in, but I don't think he kept that one in play, though.
Right. Just before he drew it back, it rolled over the goal line for the goal kick.
Great burst of energy there by Von Holly. I thought he was going to be able to track that one down, recover, and get a shot in, but that one headed a little bit too far ahead of him. Already you can see the design, though, of keeping possession whenever it gets down low. Mountain Lions are looking to send it deep, and the speed of Baldwin and Von Holly so far have been difficult for the Skyhawks to match or keep up with.
And that's probably the third or fourth time already in this match where Baldwin has anticipated where the pass is going. He steps up, gets in front of it, and turns it right around.
Baldwin, such high IQ on the field, just knowing where to be and when. And that's another great example of that. Great job on the defensive end. And the Mountain Lions are going to throw this one in as Jack Mills looks to put it back in play.
One other thing to keep an eye on as we move into the final 10 minutes of the half. UCCS is not subbed yet, and this group is expending a lot of energy, so they need to get through these final 10 minutes, take the halftime rest, and we'll see how Coach Miller begins using his bench to spell some of these starters so that they have legs at the end of the match as well.
Love the communication there as Baldwin stuck his arm out almost like a wide receiver there, knowing he was going deep, trying to get that connection. But you can just see the way in which they are communicating here through the first half. And Baldwin fighting for that one. Got a little too aggressive with that play. But if he would not have been called for the foul, that would have presented an amazing opportunity for him, as he had a lot of green in front of him.
And that's a close and tough call for the official. Baldwin actually did get ball first, but he was trying to send it right through the wickets, and the follow-through on his momentum clearly took out the ankle. So tough call.
You can easily see that one going either way, but that one didn't go the way of Baldwin on that particular call. 8.5 minutes remaining here in the first half. Mountain Lions still leading 1-0 after an early goal to start the half. And Fort Lewis has yet to recover. But you know, they're just a blink of an eye away from also tying this game. So the Mountain Lions not looking to let up at all. But you're absolutely right, Doug. I can't imagine the amount of energy that they've exerted so far. They've been going hard this entire first half. There's Baldwin again to intercept that one. Great movement of the ball. And UCCS with another throw-in.
One of the things to keep an eye on, as I've been watching the last couple of minutes, UCCS has been pretty strong down their left flank most of this match. And Fort Lewis has been trying to, the last couple minutes, switch fields and get on UCCS's weak side.
Let's see if the Mountain Lions notice that strategy and adjust accordingly. So far, it does feel like a bit of a chess match, though, where Fort Lewis is hanging in there and just waiting for their opportunity to tie this one up. And with a team as dangerous as the Skyhawks, you can't let up even for just a moment, because the second that you take the pedal, or your foot off the pedal, I should say, is the second that this game becomes tied.
And just a moment ago was the best opportunity of the first half for Fort Lewis. They actually had the space, went into a seam. The UCCS defense closed down, and almost on cue, Fort Lewis went to the weak side and had a shot. Give credit to the UCCS defense, very active in getting in the way, even when they're momentarily beat.
This next 6 minutes and some change is going to be really important, I think, for both teams, because if the Skyhawks can put one on and tie this one up going into half, they're going to feel great about that situation, knowing that they've been down for most of this half, but seemingly building some momentum nearing the end of the first half. And for the Mountain Lions, if they can just keep the score 1-0, or even better than that, put another one up on the scoreboard themselves, that would be a huge confidence booster for them to start off the second half.
And that's a similar discussion that we had in the women's game toward the end of the first half. The UCCS women had a 2-0 lead, but Fort Lewis was coming on a little bit, and then UCCS was able to put the third goal in to go into halftime with a 3-0 lead and prevent the momentum from shifting. And the men's side needs to do something very similar to prevent a switch of momentum. And so far in the last 90 seconds or so, it's Fort Lewis.
And there's the best opportunity so far by the Skyhawks. Great job, though, by Zink to not even allow that any chance to get through. But so far, that's been the best opportunity. The first shot on goal for the Skyhawks here in the first half.
And it was a solid shot on goal. Zink had to be ready for it. Those low shots are tough when you're having to pick those up just 6 or so inches off of the ground. And there was a classic Von Holly play, trying to flick it to the on-rushing Baldwin.
That was a great idea, because if he could have made that connection, Baldwin was building some speed, and if he would have been able to get that at the right point of contact, who knows what Baldwin could have done in that possession. But Von Holly's pass just a little bit off. What a great move there, and a lot of contact down low. What a collision. But UCCS comes away with it still. We're going to have a quick stoppage in play as we check on the injury on the other side of the field. That's Jack Mills limping as he gets up. Certainly not a sign that UCCS wants to see, but looks like he's shaking it off.
And I'm sure the UCCS bench isn't pleased with that call. Referees do need to stop play if they believe an injury is going to be serious, but if a player is just going down and your team has the advantage, they need to let the play develop. And this is actually a worse position for UCCS after the whistle than what they had right before the whistle.
Yeah, much worse. You had Baldwin running down the sideline and looked like UCCS was going to create a solid attack there, but the referees pulled the play back to the point of contact where the foul happened, and now as a result, Fort Lewis in possession. Nearing upon 3 minutes remaining in the first half. And I think UCCS will be absolutely satisfied going into the halftime if the score remains 1-1.
And if you're Fort Lewis, at least the way they've played the last few minutes, you would also feel good going down by a goal at halftime, because the way you can talk to your team is you can tell them that they gained control of the match in the last 5 minutes of the half.
That's absolutely
and that's the psychology
true.
Of coaching.
Absolutely. Have some sort of point to build on, and Fort Lewis seemingly does have more of that momentum at this point late in the first half. UCCS came out full speed ahead, and it feels like they've slowed down in the last 5 minutes or so.
And I've been watching the UCCS players a lot. I think they are going to be pleased to get through these final 100-plus seconds. You can see a lot of them are tired. No subs first half. They have all been going full speed, and no matter what kind of shape you're in, this sport is exhausting as you run end to end. 120 yards, and you're playing both ways.
That one sent out of bounds, out of play, as looks like we might get a substitution here with 90 seconds remaining in the first half. Ryan Hannon checking in. Let's see if he can do any damage with those fresh legs of his with only 75 seconds remaining here in the first half.
And UCCS is going to have an opportunity to get into a scoring position.
Less than 1 minute remaining here in half number one, as the UCCS Mountain Lions currently lead 1-0. In position, though, looking to add to that lead here with just seconds remaining before we head to half.
And this is all good news for UCCS. They're keeping control. They still have scoring opportunities, and this is most likely going to prevent Fort Lewis from getting a good scoring opportunity before the half ends. Just as I say that, Fort Lewis tries to go end to end.
I think UCCS is more than content wrapping up this first half with a 1-0 lead after a stellar first half of play by the Mountain Lions. About as good of a first half as they could have asked for, and really building, like you said, on some of that momentum they built last weekend with that victory against CSU Pueblo. But that loss to Adams State, I think, is eating at them just a little bit. And you can see they are hungry and wanting a victory here today.
And this is going to be interesting how the halftime discussion goes, because UCCS played with the same starting 11 up until just the last 90 seconds of the half. They were clearly getting gassed, but they controlled 40 of the 45 minutes, maybe 35. And 5 minutes were neutral and 5 minutes maybe in favor of Fort Lewis. But it's good news for UCCS because they do have a strong bench, and it'll be interesting the chess match that's going to develop between these two coaching staffs and what they try to talk to their respective teams about.
Let's take another look at some of the action here from the first half. What a pass by Baldwin, and there was the own goal, absolutely touched last by a Skyhawk, but that pass was on point by Baldwin. That shot was as well, but right into the hands of the goalkeeper there. You can see the Mountain Lions just fighting for each and every possession in that first half, really bringing the intensity. And like you mentioned, Doug, I think the real question is, can they sustain that same level of energy for another 45 minutes?
And that highlight package showed almost all UCCS, and that was not just editing. That's exactly how that first half played out.
Exactly. Very true. The Mountain Lions dominating the first half in terms of time of possession, shots on goal, and goals. UCCS in firm control after the end of the first half as the Mountain Lions lead 1-0. We're going to step aside during our halftime as we have some halftime entertainment going on the field. We'll be back for the second half in just a little bit.
The mountain lion is one of the strongest members of the feline family. The average mountain lion lives 5 times a day and consumes up to 3 times its weight in protein. It shares many characteristics with its domestic counterparts, the good and the bad. UCCS, find your inner mountain lion. Majestic mountain lion, the perfect combination of size and deadly agility. This big cat is capable of speeds of 40 to 50 miles per hour when properly motivated. UCCS, find your inner mountain lion.
One of the things that I was really surprised by at UCCS was that even though there are 11,000 students here, it feels like a small campus. So get to know the faculty really well.
You always get that one-on-one connection to your professor, you get to know your classmates, and it's just a really good learning environment.
The campus is amazing. Just getting to walk from building to building and see the view is really spectacular.
There's tons of support for students on campus. It comes from Excel centers and tutoring labs that they have.
There's always a lot of stuff to do on campus for active students like myself. I'm in a sorority on campus and I love all the friends I've made there.
What I like most about UCCS is that we have a real desire to grow and stretch ourselves and our push to become something greater.
When I was growing up, I always loved going outdoors, whether it was for biking, camping, skiing, and when I started looking for colleges, I naturally gravitated towards UCCS because it's in an area where all of those activities are still very easily accessible. A lot of my classes this semester are held in Dwyer Hall, and I really enjoy studying in there because the way the building is built, it allows a lot of natural lighting to flow in, which makes studying a lot easier. Another thing I really love about this campus is that I can go pretty much anywhere and get an awesome view. I never feel like I'm too far from an adventure. Even within 30 minutes of campus, you've got places like Red Rocks where you can go out and take a mountain bike. You can go out there for hours and never come across the same trail twice. After looking at other colleges near mountains all across the country, I'm really glad I decided to go to UCCS because I realized how good I have it here.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning in to UCCS Sports. Starting the second half of play, your UCCS Mountain Lions are up 1-0 after a stellar first half of play. Mountain Lions led in terms of time of possession slightly, but really the big difference were the fouls called on Fort Lewis, which allowed UCCS to have control in some really opportune moments. And we got an official ruling from the stat crew, and that goal has indeed been awarded to Alex Von Holly. The explanation was that that shot was likely going in regardless of any Fort Lewis touch. So, Doug, we're nearing here into the second half, and the Mountain Lions are up 1-0 after one of the better performances that they've had in the first half all season. And you see they're picking up right where they left off as Von Holly with a quick shot just over the goal.
That's exactly right. Once again, somewhat like we anticipated. They needed the halftime break to get some of their energy back. I'm trying to scan the lineup really quick. It does look like the starters are back in. That looked like a 2-point takedown from wrestling, but not called.
Play on. And I think that really is the big question here in the second half is, can the Mountain Lions continue exerting the energy that they did in that first half? Because they were absolutely smothering on the defensive end and extremely aggressive on the offensive end, which helped the Mountain Lions as they had 5 shots on goal to the Skyhawks 3, and of course one of those going in for the Mountain Lions.
And right out of the gates, in the first 90 seconds of half number 2, we're seeing the same Mountain Lions that we saw at the beginning of the game. So hopefully that's a good sign. And we keep talking about fatigue. Obviously, it's going to start affecting Fort Lewis at some point. It's easier to play when you're moving forward rather than backward. And UCCS has had Fort Lewis on the back foot most of the match. So that's going to be a fatigue factor as we move deeper into this game. And UCCS has earned a corner kick here just 2.5 minutes in.
With a team as high caliber as Fort Lewis, certainly the Mountain Lions need to continue to play for the remainder of the last 42 minutes and some change. If they let off even for just a moment, that could spell trouble for UCCS. You saw some momentum being built by the Skyhawks in the end of the first half, and the Mountain Lions desperately needed that intermission in between halftime.
Jake Zink back in net for the Mountain Lions. So he's about to complete his first 90 minutes of the season, barring anything unforeseen.
And that's a bit of a gutsy call there by Brian Miller to insert Zink into the starting lineup and depend on his freshman all throughout this game. But Zink has done a great job in his spot. Scott Jensen's got to be proud of that performance by Zink, and that shift seems to have sparked UCCS, at least here tonight. And as the minutes go by, Doug, the temperature seemingly dropping every single minute that goes by. And so I feel like that might also come into play because it's getting awfully cold out here. That ball is hardening up, and the gameplay is certainly going to change as a result. Well, there's an opportunity here by Fort Lewis. Great job by Hafner to get ahead on it and not allow Fort Lewis to gain control.
And that was good timing by Zink to come out. He didn't get as clean of a punch on it as he wanted. Fort Lewis also did a nice job gaining position. That's offside, so even had that ball snuck through, would not have mattered.
Well, you can already see a tempo change here in the first 4 minutes and some change of the second half as Fort Lewis getting a little bit more aggressive to start this second half. Already a lot more action than they had in the first half, at least at this point.
And so many storylines to watch as this game moves closer and closer toward the 90-minute mark. Fort Lewis clearly has the skill players to be able to press late, and UCCS hopes that they'll have another goal to increase the margin.
I'm sure an insurance goal right now for UCCS would feel quite nice. Fort Lewis certainly with different plans, as just one goal is the difference so far through the first 50 minutes of play.
That was Captain Aaron Hefner, who was originally up in the play and then had to recover quickly, and now Fort Lewis with an opportunity.
Bice thought he had something going on there, but an entire crew of Mountain Lions were there to intercept that shot.
And that was Hefner who actually got back to block that shot. So Hefner had about 60 yards of running to be in the attack and then the recovery.
And that's the kind of energy that we're talking about from the first half. If they can continue with that throughout the remainder of the second half, Mountain Lions might be in position to get the upset here. But those great bursts of energy may come into play towards the end of regulation. There's Sam Gomez putting a nice move on right in the middle of the field, but gives it away on the far side.
And that may be our first indication of fatigue. You may have seen Baldwin. He was over there waiting for that pass to come to him. In the first half, he would have stepped up to receive it, and because he was waiting, that gave Fort Lewis the opportunity to step in. Not blaming Baldwin at all. Tired is tired. So, again, something to keep an eye on as this match progresses.
The Mountain Lions got something going here. Nice shot, but not on goal for that one was Ranieri. He had a beautiful look, but sent it far right. The Mountain Lions trying to add to their lead. And I'm sure Brian Miller is telling Baldwin and everybody else over there to leave it all out on the field, because that play you just referred to happened right in front of the Mountain Lions bench, so I'm sure they're all cheering on their fellow teammates and letting them know they're in position to win this. Just keep it going. Going deep on that pass was Gomez, but couldn't quite make the connection. And Ranieri putting in a lot of effort there to try to track that one back. Unsuccessfully, I might add. Skyhawks with possession on that far side, taking their time, trying to develop an attack. Now going inside, shot. Great job coming out of nowhere, seemingly, was Hovac, sliding into that one to deny the opportunity. Great recovery from Hovac. That one looked like it might have been trouble.
And something else for the UCCS backline to take a look at. As I was watching that play develop, it looked to me like UCCS had the line set, could have created an offside. Irvin Scarlett stepped back a couple of yards and actually, it looked to me like kept that play onside, and the back line is going to need to do some strong communication. Player down, we'll see what the official allows to continue to happen.
Mountain Lions fortunate with the result there, though, not being called for a foul, because that would have set up a free kick awfully close. That also could have been trouble for UCCS, but the no call is a benefit for UCCS.
And, you know, we talked about what teams try to discuss at halftime. Oh, there's a stumble by UCCS, nearly trouble, but they're able to get it back to Zink.
Well, and those minor mistakes that UCCS has now made on a couple of possessions in a row could really become the difference here. If the Mountain Lions aren't able to regroup, Fort Lewis is certainly going to keep the pressure on. And as good of a first half as UCCS had, all of a sudden, seemingly, the Skyhawks have all the momentum. Right here on the near side, Ryan Lee looking to put a move on, shakes, but unable for anything to develop. Hovac just unable to follow Lee on that one.
That was clearly an exciting attack, but if you were able to see the back line of UCCS, they had a solid line set up, and the quality of that shot was not what Fort Lewis would have wanted, and in large part because UCCS was properly positioned. So some drama, but no damage done.
10 minutes have gone by now here in the second half. The Mountain Lions still leading 1-0, but Fort Lewis picking up the tempo. You can see it right there with the quick restart. Great job by Hovac to take it away. And now a couple of Mountain Lions on the ground as Ranieri was shaken up to start things off. And Scarlett also now just getting back to his feet. So you can see that the Skyhawks are really stepping things up in terms of tempo and intensity all the way around, creating more contact, getting more aggressive, and trying to play a little bit more of their brand of soccer.
And you'll hear this next comment in a lot of sports. When you get late in the game, you have one team that's trying to come back, so obviously they're going to be pushing forward. And then also, because fatigue is starting to set in, you get a little bit more physical. Maybe you can't contain your opponent as well as you would normally, so you might do a little reaching, a little extra hit. So I would not be surprised if we see a card or two in this half as the physical play starts to pick up.
Well, and that turf, I'm sure, feels a little bit different now than it did about 55 minutes ago when we started action. The colder it gets, the harder it gets, and hitting that turf does not feel good.
Feels like you're falling on a pin cushion.
Absolutely, it does, and that really could factor into the last 32 minutes of play.
Well, the UCCS bench isn't pleased at all with that call. It actually looked from our vantage point like a Fort Lewis player went over the back, and that's what the UCCS bench thought was going to be called. But in fact, I'm guessing it was an undercut, and the foul was actually called on UCCS.
It's not a good sign there as Jack Mills slow to get back to his feet. Kind of wondering what happened there. Mountain Lions picked up the foul and potentially the
Quite a
injury.
Discussion going on in the bench between the referee and the UCCS bench. I don't know about you. I really wish the referee didn't have a red whistle. I keep thinking he's pulled a red card, and it's actually just his whistle.
Well, it is Officials Appreciation Weekend, so maybe the coaching staff for UCCS is just letting the officials know how great of a job they're doing so far.
I'm sure that's it. Because as we know, benches are always supportive.
Always. Well, that's not a good sign there as Jack Mills is getting helped.
And he's going straight to training table.
Well, that's going to allow UCCS to make a much earlier substitution than they did in the first half, but I'm sure those are not the conditions in which they hoped to make that substitution. Jared Salisbury now coming into the game for UCCS. Certainly not a good sign for Jack Mills, but maybe that extra boost of energy by Salisbury might be the spark that the Mountain Lions need to get the momentum back.
And I couldn't tell. Did the sideline official raise his flag and shake it? The Fort Lewis player was indicating that on the attack, UCCS had arms out and perhaps a scratch to the face, but no, it is UCCS ball. There's a lot of pleading going on as teams are trying to gain the advantage because both sides know the 1-goal lead is very tight and difficult to maintain.
Von Holly with the corner kick now, putting it in play. And that one is sent back out by the defense of the Skyhawks.
That was a good one-on-one challenge, and Hovac able to successfully get it back to the keeper.
Yeah, great heads-up play there by Hovac, knowing exactly where he was and where the Skyhawks were to send it back over to Zink to ensure that nothing would develop. But all of a sudden, the Skyhawks right in front of us here, Lang looking to put a move on. Great defense, though, by UCCS as Hovac not allowing any penetration. And now the Skyhawks are going to reset the attack. Off to that far side, UCCS is going to get possession. Great job. Great contest back over on that far side. It looked like it was going to be Skyhawks' possession. But the Mountain Lions fighting for each and every opportunity right now. Still 30 minutes of play left. So, Doug, you mentioned earlier that if you broke it down, Mountain Lions wanted to win certain sections of this game. They've won clearly the first 30 minutes. They put up the only goal. The last 30 minutes has been back and forth, but UCCS, I'm sure, is still satisfied with where it's at. The final 30 minutes now remains, and UCCS just needs to continue doing what they've done for the first 60 minutes of play.
Right, the benefit of having a 1-goal lead, right? You can play that middle 30 minutes even, and you're still in control of the match. Maybe a slight edge to UCCS in the second 30 minutes, but clearly here in the final half hour, it needs to be UCCS because shortly Fort Lewis is going to start putting numbers forward as they need the equalizer. And Fort Lewis wants all 3 points because they are high in the standings. Nice chip to the far post.
And the header is good. What execution on that one as Liam McGuire comes away with the goal. And the Mountain Lions making sure that they start off the final 30 minutes and even more control as they're now up 2-0. Beautiful execution. Von Holly inside to McGuire.
Almost on cue. UCCS starts out that final half hour, doubling the lead.
Brian Miller could not have drawn that up any better as UCCS now in firm control of this one with 29 minutes remaining in regulation.
And you'll notice right off of the kickoff what Fort Lewis did is they're going direct. And for those that aren't very familiar with the sport, direct means bypassing your midfield and going straight from the back line over the top and trying to find an on-rushing attacker. And we've brought up the possibility of fatigue many times in this match. They might be trying to test the UCCS back line.
Mountain Lions claiming there was a handball down low, and it looks like the officials agree.
Got the call. Yep.
So I think now the real question is, Doug, do the Mountain Lions change their game plan in firm control, or do they continue to accelerate for the final 28.5 minutes, playing the same way they played with such high intensity through the first part of this matchup?
They almost have to maintain what they've been doing. There's Von Holly, far post.
And there's the answer for us as the Mountain Lions looking to put another goal on the scoreboard. Von Holly sending that one in, and it was nearly the goal.
That one went off the crossbar onto the goal line, never completely crossed the goal line. So Fort Lewis fortunate that they're still only down by a pair.
But I think our question has been answered. As you can see, Gomez there trying to get it inside, and the Mountain Lions continuing to put the pedal to the metal.
And we can use all the cliches, right? The best defense is a strong offense. If you keep it off of the foot of the Skyhawks, you're going to be able to finish out this game.
Still a lot of time remaining, though, and with the team as lethal as the Skyhawks, you don't want to get too comfortable. Not this soon, anyways. Mountain Lions looking to continue to put on the pressure, and so far it's been their defense that has led to their offense and has allowed them to take a 2-0 lead. That was a great opportunity there by the Skyhawks, but Zink in prime position to nab that one.
And clearly because Fort Lewis had a runner coming down the left flank into that weak side post, and Zink properly positioned, able to intercept that cross.
I don't think Zink got all of that one. Going to make it just a little bit more of an effort there for Hovack to get control. Foul's going to be called. Looks like that one's going against the Skyhawks. So Mountain Lions with another good opportunity to set something up. Gomez getting in position. Waiting just a moment to let his teammates get something going. Sends it in. And great defensive play by the Skyhawks, not allowing any shot opportunity there. Great move there by Gomez to keep control. Sends it to the far side, but just a little bit too far out of reach. And now that's going to be Skyhawks possession.
And 2 Skyhawk subs come into the match.
Coming in for the Skyhawks, number 3, Dennis Selleck, and number 10, Hakeem Rabiu. Rabiu started off the first half, had a nice break, and I'm sure he's ready to get back into the fray. And Selleck looking to make an impact here in the second half.
And the one thing about here at Mountain Lions Stadium, there's certainly no heaters on the bench in soccer like you have in American football. There are covers on the bench to try to break the wind a bit, but it would be very easy to get cold on the bench even though you enjoy the break. So you're going to have to keep moving on the sideline as this temperature drops. It was scheduled to drop into the 20s by the second half, and I think we're there.
That's a great point, Doug. Fresh legs, but stiff legs at the same time. So you got to make that balance there of staying rested, but also staying loose. A cold night like tonight, your joints can stiffen in a hurry.
And especially when your muscles are already getting tired from the amount of energy that you've expended up to this point. So you have to stay hydrated, have to avoid cramps.
Zink certainly taking his time before he puts it back into play, wisely so. With 24 minutes remaining in regulation, I'm sure UCCS has every aspiration of taking off time as much as they can. They're in no hurry as they're in firm control and would love to see that time tick down quickly.
And the UCCS side, they're very good in terms of their field IQ of how to take time off the clock, and they'll take as much as the official lets them. So when you get into restart situations, they'll see what the official will let go, and they'll take every advantage of it.
Selleck with a shot from deep. That one wide right. And there's another opportunity for Zink to slowly grab that ball and put it back in play at his leisure.
Kind of taking a look at the clock and seeing how much comes off of this. This is going to be about a solid 20 seconds from the time it went out until Zink puts it back in.
Mountain Lions getting the first touch on that one. And on that far side, nothing doing.
One other thing.
There's a shot.
One other thing that we haven't mentioned the entire match relative to fatigue is what could be going on with Fort Lewis. They made the decision to bus in from Durango this morning, so that's both sides coming in as opposed to coming in last night and getting the good night of rest. And I'm not sure how Wolf Creek Pass played out after yesterday's storms, and for those that are around the country and are unfamiliar with Wolf Creek Pass, that is a nasty piece of altitude that you have to go across between Colorado Springs and Durango. And if there was any delays coming over the pass.
Great job there by Byrne to meet Ranieri at the point of contact. Ranieri looked like he was going to have a great opportunity there, but an aggressive play by Byrne to step out and stop it before Ranieri had a chance to give UCCS another goal. That ball sent out of play. It's going to be Mountain Lions throw-in. 21 minutes remaining here in regulation, and UCCS still up 2-0. Mountain Lions making another substitution. Coming in, number 9, Sam Bonanno. Some fresh legs for UCCS, looking to finish the last 20 minutes and some change strong. And what a great night for UCCS so far, outscoring their opponents in both games 7-0.
This is a good substitution for UCCS with Bonanno. Bonanno has actually been a key player the entire season. He has a lot of energy. The fact that these are his first minutes coming in the final 20, he will be totally fresh, and a very, very smart sub by Coach Miller.
Yeah, great call by Brian Miller to get such a key player in at this juncture in the game. Again, the women earlier winning in dominating fashion 5-0, but the UCCS men's team right now looking for the same result, or at least the victory, in a 2-0 outing so far. What a great night of soccer here at Mountain Lions Stadium for the home team, though.
And we haven't taken a look yet at any of the other scores from around the RMAC, but Fort Lewis came in to this match just 3 points off of the lead in the RMAC, with 3 points up for consideration this evening. And right now, UCCS on the brink of stealing the 3 points from Fort Lewis.
And wow, does UCCS really need those at this point in the season? This could be a turning point for the Mountain Lions. If they have any hope of making the playoffs, they really need to get back into that win column on a consistent basis. And against a tough team like Fort Lewis, this could really build their confidence moving forward. But they're going to have a tough test, as we talked about earlier on again on Sunday, as they play host to Colorado Mesa.
And MJ, I'm not sure we're going to get a card here, but we're definitely going to get a discussion. And this is one of the time-wasting things that happens from time to time. That play was called a throw-in for Fort Lewis. UCCS was actually on the touchline. They may have really thought it was their ball, but there was a little bit of ball holding, tossing the ball, time-wasting. Could have been a card, but the referee chose to have a discussion. But regardless, the clock stopped during that discussion, as it should have.
And that's the absolute opposite result that the Mountain Lions wanted. They want to keep that clock ticking away, as every second that goes by is that much more of a likelihood that the Mountain Lions escape with an upset victory.
And you're already seeing now more space in the attacking third for the Mountain Lions, as Fort Lewis presses forward.
That was a great job by Gomez to come in and disrupt that possession, but Fort Lewis remains in control. Pass to the near side. That's Rabu looking to put a move on, but unsuccessful. McClure making sure that nothing would develop there. Here's Bonanno now with the pass. A little too far, though.
I think that was a bit ambitious. I think he was trying to go completely cross field, and two defenders were in their way. And Bonanno has great speed. He could have carried it and tried to take the outside edge. I'm sure we're going to see him attempt to do that at some point in these final 17 minutes.
Well, especially being as fresh as he is relative to everybody else on the field, he's still got quite a bit more energy left in the tank than I think most of the other players on the field.
That was nearly dangerous, as Scarlett was the only defender back, but Hefner, as he is known to do, he closed the space very quickly and came back to get that out of trouble.
That was an easy takeaway there for the Skyhawks. Mountain Lions seemingly slowing down just a little bit, and they do not want to let the pressure off. One simple goal could really change the complexion of this game. UCCS has certainly dominated so far, but the Skyhawks, with even just one goal, can get right back into this, and plenty of weapons to do that.
And from Coach Miller's perspective, he can use substitutions as a way to help burn some clock, and this is good to see after the injury, Jack Mills coming back into the match.
The last thing you'd want to think is that Mills suffered any kind of sustaining injury, so absolutely, Doug, it's great to see him back into the action to close out the final 16 minutes and try to help lead his team to victory. Right around midfield, Skyhawks looking to push the pace and get on the board still. Shut out so far here tonight. 75 minutes have gone by here in our contest, and the Mountain Lions lead 2-0, hoping to keep that score through the remaining 15 minutes. That's a good idea, but maybe just a little bit too far for Rabu to track in. But that was not good execution from UCCS and nearly gave away a golden opportunity for the Skyhawks. There's a shot. If it was football, that'd be 3 points and the Mountain Lions would be down, but it's not. That shot was too high, and the Mountain Lions are lucky there not to concede a goal.
Exactly right, because Zink was far enough out of his net that if that had been on frame, that would have connected and cut this lead in half.
This is really that point that we were talking about, though, earlier, Doug, of how will the Mountain Lions be able to finish with all of the energy that they exerted through the first half. And seemingly they have slowed down just a little bit, but the Skyhawks have as well. It's going to be interesting to see whether Fort Lewis has enough energy left in their tank to really capitalize on this situation.
One thing about this UCCS squad, and I've noticed this throughout the season, late in the game, it has to be adrenaline. They seem to find the energy. And so it'll be interesting if this scoreline holds. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the final 5 minutes.
Great contest on the other side of the field, as Von Holly thought he might have had a great opportunity there to put another one on the board. But that was a great job to break up that attempt. Von Holly's going to go back for the corner kick as we near upon 13 minutes remaining in regulation.
And look how smart the senior is in terms of the time he takes to collect the ball, take it to the corner. Again, as long as the official isn't forcing play to restart, they can take their time.
Yeah, he was in no rush to put that one back in play. And it looks like it's going to remain UCCS ball. A throw-in for Bonanno.
And Bonanno is a throw-in specialist for UCCS, so his throws are like corner kicks.
Yeah, that was a great pass right on the chest of McGuire. McGuire couldn't set anything up, though. It looks like Mountain Lions are going to get another chance here as Bonanno goes back for an official corner kick now.
No, it's actually still on the throw-in side of the flag. Yeah.
I thought that was a corner kick, but just inside instead. But you're right. The result is nearly the same as he gets it right inside to Baldwin. Baldwin just unable to retrieve and track that one down to get a shot off. But that was a great pass by Bonanno. The turn and the shot. Great attempt, just not on point.
That was a lovely turn by McGuire. He got around on that one fast. He just needed to pull it a tiny bit more.
If he would have just turned a few degrees more, he might have had that shot on goal. Great idea. Skyhawks running out of time here as we near upon 11 minutes remaining in regulation. Mountain Lions will be perfectly content to end the night right where it's at right now in terms of the score. That was a great job there by Hovac to steal that one.
I know the Skyhawks were frustrated by the no call, but that was a good double down by the UCCS defense.
And that pass a little too far to be tracked down.
But even though they haven't had clean possession in the last 45 seconds or so, they keep breaking it up enough to just burn clock.
Making it difficult for Fort Lewis to really develop any strong attack. Just doing a great job of disrupting everything are the Mountain Lions. There's another prime example of that. And Bonanno with a great move to send that one out of play, and even made sure to stay in the way to not allow that throw in to come in any sooner than it needed to. It's a matter of a couple of seconds here, a couple of seconds there, and it really could provide the difference in the game.
And you also now see it's time for Fort Lewis to really press, as coming way out of net.
Yeah, Byrne was way far out there. If he would not have made solid contact there was a wide open net. Mountain Lions could have easily just sent that one over his head into the goal. Fortunately for Byrne and the Skyhawks, that's not what happened, and he was able to save that one.
And Liam McGuire scored a goal on a quasi-similar play earlier in the season. He was able to head a ball, and it went over the goalkeeper's head, who was yards and yards away from the goal line, and he could just only turn and watch it roll in for a McGuire goal.
That's always high risk, high reward. The Mountain Lions benefited in that game, not so much in this last sequence. Checking in for the Mountain Lions here to finish up the last 9 minutes is number 17, Ryan Hannon, hoping to bring in just a little bit more energy to help UCCS solidify this victory. And what a big win for the Mountain Lions this will be if they can finish the last 9 minutes.
The good news, and I'll look forward to talking to Coach Miller, this will be 2 out of the last 3 matches where they're becoming the Mountain Lions that we thought they would be at the beginning of the season. And that combined with their earlier season win over St. Mary's, potentially they could be putting the RMAC on notice that these Mountain Lions are something to deal with.
one. Certainly you want to start off any season with some wins, but the time that it really matters the most is towards the second half of the season when you're vying for the playoffs. And if the UCCS Mountain Lions can continue to build on what they have been building on the last couple of weeks, they certainly can be in contention towards the end of the season.
And I'm actually a little bit surprised as we move towards 7.5 minutes remaining. Really, Fort Lewis hasn't pressed forward as much as I thought they would, and they really need to try to find the equalizer.
I would agree, Doug. It seems like they have a pretty lackadaisical approach at this point, and the urgency has not really been demonstrated. In the spot that they are in the RMAC, I would think that they would be really hungry for this win to continue to be one of the top teams, but the Mountain Lions have just brought in the intensity from start to finish at a higher level than Fort Lewis has been able to match them yet. Bad pass there, and Hovac just sends that one deep.
Von Holly works it really well and earns the throw-in for UCCS.
We just can't say enough about Alex Von Holly here tonight. From the start of the game all the way through, he really has been the catalyst for this Mountain Lion victory.
And you see UCCS burn more time. Von Holly left it for Bonanno, the throw-in specialist, kills time and creates an opportunity.
Throws that one in low. Great shot. That one looked to be right on goal, but Byrne with a great play. And the Mountain Lions now going to utilize the entire field, sending it all around, trying to waste as much time as they can.
And there UCCS does the good sporting thing. A Fort Lewis player writhing on the turf, and UCCS just kicks it out. They're happy to have the clock stop while the player is attended to.
That's Alejandro Arribas, slow to get to his feet and needing some help. And yeah, he looks pretty shaken up at the moment.
You know, I was ready to say something earlier, and a play developed and wasn't able to finish the point in it. But we saw another example of it. We talk about the teams come up with strategies at halftime. Referees also talk about what happened. You may recall in the first half there was a play that UCCS had advantage, and yet they blew the whistle maybe a bit prematurely. And I've noticed the referee this entire half, if somebody goes down, he is letting the play continue. And I would be pretty confident that that was one of the discussion points at halftime among the officiating crew.
That's a great point, Doug, because seemingly the Mountain Lions were in great position, if not for that whistle being blown, to create an attack. And all of a sudden the play was just called dead, and UCCS had to start all over. And it really deflated what they were building towards at that moment.
And there's another good example of sporting behavior. UCCS had possession when the injury occurred, and so Fort Lewis just kicked it back to the UCCS goalkeeper. So even though that was in no way to Fort Lewis's advantage time-wise, they did the right sporting thing. And we're also getting into that critical 5 minutes that teams run drills in practice to play the 1 goal up game and the 1 goal down game.
5 minutes remaining in regulation. Mountain Lions still lead 2-0. Skyhawks on the attack. Bad pass there. Easily broken up.
I think Gomez thought he had a runner coming up the touch line. He didn't, but again, it burns time. Now, the one thing to watch, Bonanno was grabbing his hamstring and he's limping a bit.
Yeah, he's really slow going at the moment, trying not to exert any real energy. Skyhawks now looking to get on the board still, but that shot was way over the goal. And Mountain Lions fortunate there as that looked like a promising opportunity for Fort Lewis.
But to the UCCS backline credit, they were tracking well. And again, they created just enough of disruption that Fort Lewis could not get the quality touch on it to put it behind Zink. And hopefully the UCCS bench is aware that Bonanno is favoring. They're going to need him late in the game. He has done the work he needed to do in the 17 minutes so far that he's been on the field. They've got Colorado Mesa coming up. That would be a smart sub right now to get him out and have him get his warm-ups on so he can keep some heat in that area.
Absolutely, Doug. A tough matchup for UCCS this entire weekend as they're playing the number 2 and the number 3 ranked teams in the RMAC. Fort Lewis right now sitting in 3rd place, and Colorado Mesa is coming in 2nd place. But if the Mountain Lions can play with the same level of intensity on Sunday as they did here tonight, they easily could give themselves an opportunity for 2 upsets in 2 matches, as they surely are going to win this one with 3 minutes remaining, up 2 goals.
And a 6-point weekend for the Mountain Lions would just be fantastic. Coming into this weekend, you know who you're playing, and sure, you hope for the 6 points, but then you start thinking about, okay, I would take maybe a close upset win and maybe a draw, but to now have the opportunity, and I know we still have 2.5 minutes to go before we can really put this one in the books, but to have an opportunity to show up on Sunday afternoon and say, I could have a 6-point weekend would be an ideal position for the Mountain Lions.
And all of a sudden, they might find themselves back in contention in the RMAC standings to make a playoff push. Still plenty of time left in the season, but if they don't get some victories soon, like Fort Lewis is running out of time in this game, the Mountain Lions could run out of time in the season. So a huge victory here tonight if they can just finish up the last 2 minutes. And then what confidence that's going to help them come into Sunday with for a tough matchup against the Mavericks.
And you can tell just by the body language of Fort Lewis, they appear to be conceding this match at this point.
I think the Mountain Lions are just fine with that. They're going to be happy to get a win, try to rest up for Sunday, and come back with the same level of energy and intensity as they did here tonight.
Here's a smart play by Zink. Just playing with the ball in the box until a little bit of pressure is put on. Then he picks it up. And by rule, he has 6 seconds to put it back into play. He probably took 1 or 2 more than that. Nice move by Hovac.
What a fake. Looked like he was going to blast that one, and instead just decided to keep it and take it inside as we're now under 1 minute remaining in regulation. And that's really an example of the way in which the Mountain Lions have played all night. Just very intelligent play, understanding the situation and capitalizing on their opportunities.
Look at that. When the Mountain Lions could have laid down, they still blocked that shot. They want to protect this clean sheet for Jake Zink. Looking for the win and a shutout.
And what a big outing for Zink coming in as a freshman and helping to lead this team to victory here tonight against one of the top teams in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. You can hear Mickey Meehan counting down the clock on the PA, and that's going to do it, folks. The UCCS Mountain Lions come away with a huge victory, 2-0 against the Fort Lewis Skyhawks.
And I was watching Jake Zink. He gave the fist pump when he knew the shutout was his.
He was excited. He's pumped. He knows what he did and what his team has accomplished. Doug, what really, in your opinion, was the key to victory here tonight?
They played all 90 minutes, and we talked about breaking it up into manageable components. They clearly won the first 30 minutes. We'll go ahead and we'll call the middle 30 minutes a draw, and then they came back and they won the final 30 minutes when Fort Lewis had everything to play for. So the fact that they put a 90-minute performance together was just outstanding, and this is what Coach Miller has been imploring them to do all season long.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights here tonight from our contest from the Skyhawks and the Mountain Lions. And you're going to see once again a lot of these highlights are predicated off what the Mountain Lions did. That's a beautiful header inside. The Mountain Lions started strong and finished strong. It was a complete game for UCCS here this evening.
And that was a nice shot of Zink protecting that cross. And really strong all the way around. At the midfield, the back line, clearly the attacking, and of course Jake Zink with his first career shutout. Could not have come at a more important time. UCCS now with 6 points in the table and a chance to steal another 3 points on Sunday from Colorado Mesa when they come into town to complete this weekend of women-men doubleheaders.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the start on Sunday. Will it be Zink once again, or will Jensen be back on goal? I'm sure Zink's got to be feeling awfully good about the performance here tonight from his squad as your UCCS Mountain Lions come away with a big 2-0 victory. And what an overall great night here at Mountain Lion Stadium for UCCS, finishing off the women's team defeated Fort Lewis 5-0, and the Mountain Lion men's team capped off the night with a 2-0 victory against Fort Lewis as well. We'd like to thank you all for joining us here for UCCS Sports on behalf of our entire crew. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and hope that you join us once again on Sunday for more action right here from Mountain Lion Stadium.